Hey everyone, Will Brink here, brinkzone.com. Wanted to do something of a follow-up video in what is ended up being a series. I didn't do it intentionally for it to be a series, but it's gone that way. So today I'm going to cover Whey versus NAC shortly, versus Gly-NAC versus Glyteine, and I've been getting questions about the latter two most recently. Now, I did a video on Whey versus NAC a while back, which has a lot of details, so I'm not going to cover all those details here. As far as why Whey is probably superior to NAC as far as glutathione. We'll touch on that a little bit in this video too, but I'm not going to go into the full details because I already did it. I also did another video on glutathione by itself and why taking glutathione specifically is not efficient. It is not an efficient way to boost glutathione, cellular glutathione. And I give the details on that. And we will also, again, touch on that a bit. But what I'm going to do is touch on those two topics and mostly focus on Gly-NAC and Glyteine. Because those are the two that I have not really given time to, and again, these all overlap in a sense, so you'll get some sense of Whey versus NAC and glutathione by itself. And I'm going to use I'm going to jump around on some studies that I have up. Hopefully that won't be too clunky. I'm not always that technically savvy jumping around here, but I am going to use a particular graphic that's really useful to explaining this stuff visually. I mean, I'm fairly visual myself. I tend to learn better visually, and I think a lot of people these days are. I think the internet in general has just made us much more visual than like text or looking at pathways and that kind of thing. So, like I say, we'll touch on the Whey and the NAC and Whey versus NAC and glutathione a bit later. But what I'm going to do is jump to discussing Gly-NAC and then a bit on the Glyteine. So what is Gly-NAC? Gly-NAC is basically just glycine, the amino acid glycine. Oh, and I have to back up a little bit. Sorry. I'm also going to make some assumptions here because I sort of have to keep this video as short as possible. I'm making some assumptions that people already know what NAC is, N-acetylcysteine. They already know what basically the benefits of NAC is, or any glutathione precursor, which is the production of glutathione. I'm also making the assumption that most people watching this know what glutathione is, what the potential benefits of keeping your glutathione are up, as far as your immune system and protection from viruses and cancer and all the benefits of glutathione. So I'm not going to go into great depth as to the benefits of glutathione. Nor, I'm making some assumptions here. So if you're here because you are curious, or you're taking NAC, or you've heard of Gly-NAC or the benefits of Whey and stuff, then you're in the right spot. If you don't already have the background in terms of what are the benefits of glutathione, what are the potential benefits of NAC, you may need to go back and maybe read some articles and stuff. So we're jumping ahead a little bit for some people. So let's get back to Gly-NAC. What is Gly-NAC, say, versus NAC? So Gly-NAC is basically glycine, the amino acid glycine, and N-acetylcysteine, right? Glutathione is basically a three amino acid peptide, and glycine being one of them. The other being glutamine and cysteine. So the Gly-NAC has gotten a certain amount of attention. There's been a handful of interesting studies that have basically been a combination of the amino acid glycine with N-acetylcysteine. Why is that important? So here's some realities, however. So basically, glycine has never been viewed as a rate-limiting amino acid to the production of glutathione, which is to say, cysteine has always been viewed as the rate-limiting amino acid. That is the amino acid that is, hence rate-limiting how much available cysteine there is to produce glutathione. glycine has never really been viewed as rate limiting. Now, I think that evidence, though, I think more modern evidence would suggest that glycine is rate limiting under specific conditions, which to glutathione production might actually be viewed as conditionally essential to glutathione. So under those conditions, what are those conditions? Well, inadequate protein intakes would be one obvious one, because you're going to get glycine from your protein foods. Some are higher than others. And, inadequate protein intakes, especially in older adults, is not uncommon. And so, during inadequate protein intakes, it might be rate limiting. Aging, a lot of our pathways, enzymatic pathways and stuff do become less efficient as we age. There are probably some disease states where glycine may be rate limiting. So I think under certain conditions, glycine could be rate limiting, and so there may be benefits to added glycine. And I think that's what some of these studies are pointing towards. Again, one of them, fed mice, aging mice, older mice, added glycine plus NAC and found benefits. So I think I at least my personal views is that I'm kind of viewing glycine a little differently. Now, there's nothing wrong with you adding extra glycine to your diet. I sometimes dump 5-10 grams of glycine into my coffee. One of the things, however, about glycine added to NAC is that you need quite a bit of it. Glycine, as an individual amino acid, is not terribly expensive, but when you start getting into the doses that appear required to see these benefits, you're talking 15-20 grams plus, it can become pricey, and that's just a lot of glycine to take in. The most effective way to boost your glycine intake is to take collagen supplements. Collagen, the predominant amino acid in collagen is glycine. Collagen has a lot of glycine, but even taking in a fair amount of glycine, it's going to be difficult to reach those doses of glycine. And again, you can do combinations thereof. There's nothing stopping you from using collagen supplements, which may have their own benefits, of course, on things like joint health and skin health. The data there is mixed, but I still think it's worth taking. But you can still take a collagen supplement and add some extra glycine to that along with your NAC. There's no reason you can't do a combination of things. But just FYI, the doses needed for glycine to see some of the benefits. And there's also nothing wrong. There is, at least on paper, and I'll bring one of those papers up. On paper, there probably are some benefits to added glycine anyway. There appears to be benefits to cardiac benefits. There may be some blood sugar benefits. There's a number of potential benefits to added glycine that are separate from glutathione production. So I don't see any harm, any reason not to bump up your glycine intake if you want to the potential benefits of improved glutathione production. Anyway, now here's one thing. Now, if you're eating whey regularly, remember, if you're eating whey, you're kind of potentially killing a number of birds with one stone, as they say. That is, you're bumping up your protein intake of a very high quality protein. So if you are protein deficient, that's one way to improve it. You are, of course, getting some added glycine. You're not getting 20 grams of glycine, but you are getting, depending on how much whey you take, you are getting added glycine with it and some other benefits. So, whey, again, can be an added benefit there. And again, as I said, you can mix and match things. I regularly will put a scoop of hydrolyzed gelatin or collagen with my whey. So again, sort of supplementing the whey to add additional glycine and collagen peptides. So you can, again, mix and match there. But again, basically what Gly-NAC is as straight as it sounds, is basically NAC with added glycine, with the sort of concept that if glycine is rate limiting in certain conditions, it will take care of that. So I think there's some potential benefits to the sort of Gly-NAC angle. As you'd expect, the papers that are published on the benefits of Gly-NAC. Let's see. Let's pull one up just quickly. Hopefully I don't screw this up. Hold on a second. Let's go to 1 and 2. Okay. We're going to get to that. Come back to that guy in a minute. So there's a paper, 2018, dietary glycine is rate limiting for glutathione synthesis and may have broad potential for health protection. Again, I think the argument being made by this paper and others is, I think the take home is that glycine is probably rate limiting under certain conditions. On, let's say, healthy, active people that get plenty of protein and so forth, probably not. But there's probably also a lot of people that may fall into the rate limiting issue of lack of dietary glycine. Again, a lot of older people don't get adequate protein, but again, I think the argument could be at least made for whey, and we'll get back to that in a second. So let's get back to let's see. Let me scan down this one a little bit. Also, hopefully, is this showing up on my? Yes, it is. Okay. Just want to make sure you guys are seeing the same thing I'm seeing. So this is actually a really good paper. I will post this under the video. They also make, so they're making a case here for dietary glycine regulation of glutathione synthesis. And I think it's a good, I think this and the other studies that have come out, now this was what I was talking about here, health protective potential of supplemental glycine, which is making the argument that, there is additional potential benefits with higher glycine intake that may be independent of its effects on glutathione. So again, you might still be, even if you're not increasing your glutathione production by adding glycine, there might still be benefits. And glycine is starting to get quite a bit of attention. And I think, but now again, you're talking about, here's 15 grams of glycine daily, 5 grams 3 times daily. When we're talking about the doses needed to see statistically significant effects, they're pretty high. So keep that in mind. You're not going to pop, you're not going to take 500 milligrams or, a gram of glycine in a tablet and probably get much out of it. But again, they make the this discussion here of glycine for vascular health and so forth. So I think glycine and making sure you're getting adequate glycine via protein intakes, whether you're taking in added glycine as an individual amino acid, I do. I throw some in there, and so forth. Or also getting additional collagen, impacts on cancer, connective tissue, central nervous system. So this is a good paper. Let's get back to me. So that's basically Gly-NAC, okay? So, and I'm going to bring all this together. I'm going to cover the latter two on my list because, like I say, I already did whey and NAC, or whey versus NAC. I already did glutathione by itself, so I'm not going to cover that too much till we get to this graph that I wanted, this graphic that I think kind of pulls it together really well. So what I'm trying to do is cover in depth the last two, which is the Gly-NAC, which I hope you all understand what I'm talking about. And then we're going to go on to Glyteine, which, using the graphic, I think will pull all this together for you guys. So what is Glyteine? Glyteine is basically something that I actually recommended to one of the big dairy companies, the big whey companies that I consulted for over 20 years ago. I recommended this. So within whey, there is a what they call a glutamylcysteine peptide. Glutamylcysteine is quite rare in nature. Whey is about the only source where there's appreciable amounts, and it's still very small. But I mean, there's tiny amounts in things like garlic and some other sources. It's very small. Even in whey, which is probably the major source. And this is properly produced whey, which again is another discussion in another video. But glutamylcysteine peptides are probably, as far as producing glutathione, the most efficient, effective way for boosting glutathione. And I'll explain why that is in just a second. And over 20 years ago, knowing that and doing consulting work for one of the major whey companies at the time, a company that I've done work for on and off for since then, I recommended to them that they pursue producing that peptide. And at the time, they looked at it and said, good idea, but it's just too, it would just be too expensive and it would be too difficult to do. You know, sort of a thanks, but no thanks at the time. But so I've been aware of, you know, glutamylcysteine as a potential isolated product for a long, long time. And so there is now a product out there by the trade name Glyteine. So let me bring up, and so glutamylcysteine will make more sense if you go and watch the whey versus NAC video. Again, I go through some explanation as to why that's important. But now I'm gonna explain specifically. I'm gonna bring in NAC, glutathione, Glyteine, and all of them through this one visual, which I think will help a lot. So let me bring this guy in. Okay, we're going to go to, okay, that guy. There we go. Hopefully you all can see this. Let me explain to you. So this, I'm going to scroll up. I want to show you, and I'll put this below. I will put this below the video. So the name of that paper is Glutamylcysteine Exhibits Anti-Inflammatory Effects by Increasing Cellular Glutathione Levels. I will only say that all of the papers that I'm posting, these studies were done basically by or at least not done by, but usually financed, paid for by the companies that sell it, market it, whatever. So take that, you know, I don't dismiss, or I wouldn't use them. I will not dismiss a study because it was funded by somebody. I mean, somebody's got to fund it. Nobody's going to fund a study just for the hell of it, you know. So it obviously makes sense that the scientist, the company, whatever, that is looking to, you know, see if it works, proof of concept, and market it is going to pay for it. So a lot of times it has more to do with who does it, where it's done, what journal does it end up in, you know, and so forth. But I still think that you should be aware of that reality. So I want to scroll back down. This whole paper, great paper, by the way, looks at glutamylcysteine and how and why it boosts glutathione. But we're going to use this. This is going to be the sort of bring it all together for people to understand what's going on here. So this is NAC right there, N-acetylcysteine. That is glutamylcysteine. That is glutathione, right? Now, here's what you guys need to know. This is the cell. See, this is the cell membrane right there, right? Everything that you ingest, or even if you inject members, because people will say, well, you know, I inject glutathione, and so I'm good. Because a lot of people are aware that glutathione is not well absorbed if you eat it, if you ingest it. A lot of people know that, and so they think that by injecting it or getting an IV or something, they have avoided that problem, and they have not, which I explain in the other video on glutathione, but this little graph covers it all. Okay, so that's the cell membrane, right? That's every cell in your body. It gets into circulation, and it's got to get past that cell membrane. For the glutathione to do anything that you want it to do, as an antioxidant, as an immune booster, as an anti-inflammatory, all that, it has to get inside the cell. So this is a wonderful little graph. So let's start with N-acetylcysteine. N-acetylcysteine, as you can see, does translocate. Oh, God, sorry about that. Oh, actually, that's even better, isn't it? Let's use that. All right. Hey, I think this will help you guys. Let's hopefully. Okay. All right. Never mind. That doesn't work. Okay. Sorry. So let's start with N-acetylcysteine. N-acetylcysteine, which is an acetylated amino acid, N-acetylcysteine, you've all heard of it, right? Can translocate into the cell. It then has to go through this ligase enzyme to become gamma-glutamylcysteine. So when I was talking about found in whey, is this, a lot of people, I'm going to back up a little bit. A lot of people, even scientists and stuff, are under the impression that the reason that whey increases glutathione is because it contains cysteine. And that's not necessarily true. The real key to whey, the benefits of whey, is not that it contains cysteine, it's because it contains glutamylcysteine. Okay, glutamylcysteine is also there's too many of these in my head, Glyteine. This is the Glyteine product we're talking about. So what is the benefit of Glyteine, glutamylcysteine, or glutamylcysteine found in whey? Well, one, it can translocate through the cell membrane, right? It also bypasses that enzyme. That is the rate-limiting enzyme to making glutathione. Everything, this is what's telling the cell to make more glutathione, or not. Now, you'll notice that NAC is behind this enzyme. Hence, it is rate limited. It will only make so much. Now, this is a very simplified graph. This is a very complicated system. For example, there are feedback loops to the production of glutathione. The cell senses how much oxidized to non-oxidized glutathione, GSH/GSSH, which is called redox balance. Very complicated, but it's not the only feedback, is what I'm trying to say. So here is gamma-glutamylcysteine, the Glyteine product, or what is found in whey, like I say, which can get through the cell membrane. It ends up here past the rate-limiting enzyme, which means it can then go straight into making glutathione. So there is a big benefit to gamma-glutamylcysteine, which I say is very rare certainly in large amounts in nature. And that's Dr. Bunos discovered that in the 70s or even 80s. And I go into great depth about Dr. Bunos and all that. He really is the reason that we know any of this. So this is the big winner right here, as far as I'm concerned, right? So you are doing two things. What your gamma-glutamylcysteine, or let me see if I can explain this also. So cysteine goes through here. You lose the acetyl group. You then attach glutamine to cysteine. You get gamma-glutamylcysteine. So where does the glycine? Well, the glycine comes in on that next. You get glutamine and cysteine connected. This enzyme then attaches the glutamylcysteine to glycine, and you get glutathione. So this is the big one right here, which, like I say, is found in whey. It is found in the Glyteine product. Let's talk glutathione. Here's glutathione. Now, notice the red dot line, and notice the word impermeable. This is the big deal about, even if you ingest glutathione and it makes it through digestion, which it does very poorly, it does not get through the cell membrane. And hence, the people that are injecting glutathione and IVing glutathione and all that, it ain't working. It's not getting through the cell membrane. Not efficiently. So what you end up with, likely, doesn't go to waste. It doesn't get completely eliminated. It's not like it doesn't increase. Ultimately, at least if you're injecting it, what you're getting is likely just a very expensive cysteine delivery system. But it's going to have to get broken down, and then for it to cross the cell membrane, it's not going to do it as glutathione. So yeah, you're still increasing your rate-limiting enzyme of cysteine and all that, but you might as well just, if you're going to take that, you might as well just take that. You might as well just take your NAC and probably take your NAC and some glycine. So you're not getting any benefits. What you're getting is a like I say, a highly expensive, basically a cysteine delivery system. But what you're not getting is glutathione in the outside the cell, translocating the cell and being used by the cell. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So I hope this kind of brings everything together when we're talking about NAC, N-acetylcysteine, Gly-NAC, Glyteine, whey, and the use of glutathione. I think that just does such a great job of it. Okay, so I'm gonna pop out of this guy, and we're gonna close this out. Let me get myself back here. So, I mean, where do I fall on all this? I think you guys, if you're watching this and you've known my stuff, that I've been writing about this topic for, 30 years at least, I think you are going to probably understand where I'm going to fall here. Again, I think whey is obviously a no-brainer here, because what you're getting in whey, when you're eating whey, you're getting basically the highest quality protein, more or less, that exists. You're getting the glutathione precursors. You're getting cysteine, you're getting cysteine, and you're getting gamma-glutamyl-cysteine. You're not just getting, it's not apples to apples, because with whey, you're also getting, well, you're getting protein. You're also getting all these bioactive peptides, such as lactoferrin, which again, I'm a huge fan of lactoferrin, and have been writing. I was the first to write articles on the benefits of lactoferrin for immunity and antibacterial and antiviral in the main print publications, mid 90s or so. So again, I think, this all, to me, for glutathione production and all the rest of it, comes back to whey. Again, you're not forced to do just one or the other. I still take whey, not every day, probably 5 days a week. I still take NAC, honestly, and or sometimes I still take Gly-NAC, which is to take some NAC and put some glycine in my. I like to put glycine sometimes in my coffee on the days I don't use Alpha Joe. Alpha Joe, of course, is my creatine, cocoa, and tyrosine formula. I usually don't put the glycine into that, and there's reasons. I don't want there to be other amino acids competing with the L-tyrosine. That's a whole other topic. So again, you're not forced to do just necessarily one or the other. But on the balance, whey is, for glutathione and a whole bunch of other things, I consider it, again, a bit of a no-brainer. However, again, A, you don't have to do one thing. Two, now, if there's some reason that you just cannot eat whey or just do not want to eat whey, you're a vegan, what have you, you're allergic to dairy. And I do want to just add that being truly allergic to dairy is quite rare. A lot of people think they're allergic to dairy or just throw that out. They're not allergic to dairy. And also remember that lactose intolerance is a different thing. That's not allergic to dairy. Lactose is a dairy sugar. There are more people that have issues with lactose that are not, but they're not dairy allergic. Whey isolates are lactose free, by the way. So, but the percentage of people that are truly actually allergic to dairy is actually pretty rare. But anyway, if you're allergic to dairy, you're a vegan, whatever, then you have options. Now, that option, let's go back to Glyteine. Glyteine is the gamma-glutamyl-cysteine product. Of the individual products that are just focused on boosting glutathione, Glyteine is likely the most superior. The only drawback to it that I am aware of is it is very expensive. For the same reasons, the company that I pitched the idea to 20 years ago, basically said thanks but no thanks, is that it is no doubt really expensive and difficult to produce. But from an efficiency perspective of producing glutathione, it should be, and evidence would strongly suggest it is going to be superior to NAC. It is going to be superior to Gly-NAC. You could take them all together, depending on how much money you want to spend. But the Glyteine product, it's, at least from where I sit right now, its major drawback is cost. Now, I don't know how they produce it. I don't believe it is derived or extracted from whey. I think it's. I'm guessing it's might be fermented, might be made in fermented, because they can now make peptides. They're even making an entire whey protein peptide, which again they claim is vegan whey. It's not vegan whey. It is one protein subfraction found in whey that they were making by fermentation. And actually, I'll try to remember to post that under here too. But my guess is that that Glyteine, which is gamma-glutamyl-cysteine, is produced by a fermentation process, which again is not inexpensive and not easy to do. I don't believe it is derived or extracted from like whey protein or some other protein. That's my understanding. So I hope that answers questions. If you have questions, obviously leave them below, comments. Hope you like it. Sub up to this channel. Please give me a like. And of course, this is brought to you by Alpha Joe. Tastes good, feels good, it's good for you. I call that the trifecta of win. And I'll see you all on the brink.